Hello, hello. Making a patty video. This is nice for the senses. Peach. Smells good. Smells like peach and vanilla. Awesome. A lot of stuff going through my brain right now. I don't even know whether I should talk about it or not. We had what's called, they're called Great Pacific Salamanders. Yeah. They are the size of this putty here. They are this big. Hello, hello. And they are the color of dark gray. And they're real cute and lovely and real docile and tame, and they don't even run away. You can pick them up, put them on your arm, and they are wet. They have to be wet. They have to be hydrated. They contain, I don't know, 95% water or something. So real lovely. And they're native to the area we're in, so they're living at the Pacific Ocean. And we had one here in the forest out there, living right next to all the trees, and he must have had a nest somewhere, or she, I don't know what gender. I can't tell, but anyway, I picked one up. I only saw one Great Pacific Salamander, and he walked on my arm all the way up to my shoulder, like dop 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 dop. And it looked like he didn't feel so super comfortable. So, because obviously I am a giant, and actually they're called giant Pacific salamanders. I think that's the name, not great. Either Great Pacific or Giant Pacific salamander. And this salamander, I don't know, maybe I can recreate it as good as I can. Long tail, thick long tail, so I can't, so the animal is actually, I think, bigger than this. So if you count the big thick tail in, and then big thick feet, short legs, short thick, very thick animal. Thick pudgy hands and thick legs, short, thick legs, like this sort of. No forehead, like like this sort of, you know. And then he was walking up on my. It was lovely. It felt very similar to this putty material. To have that lovely being, I think a she, a mother, to have her walk on my arm. That skin felt very lovely on my skin. And so I was a little worried about that animal out there, you know, because down there is a street, and although it's a dead-end street, people are not, there's not much through traffic. I mean, there's not much traffic going on because people are just going to their residences. But sometimes there's the trash pickup coming at night. Sometimes there are delivery people that might be driving way faster than the speed limit. And at one time, charter employees came, and the one guy was excited about seeing that salamander, and he told the other guy, which he should not have done. So the other guy came, and we don't know what he did to that animal. So my husband went out there, and he was out there, you know, watching while they were working, while they're putting the cable into a protective enclosure. But it's still outside. It's not. We thought they were going to bury this, but they didn't. And they were rude to us. And my husband talked to that guy. He said, "That's our pet salamander." And the guy had a real strange look on his face. And then my husband said, "Is the salamander okay?" And the guy just hollered up real angry, "Yes, he's okay." And we never saw the salamander since then, never seen him again. And it's incredibly sad, you know, those are at the brink of extinction already, you know. And then come cruel humans that are frustrated with their lives and let it out on innocent beings. Okay. It is possible that the one guy killed the salamander just like that, just to let his frustrations out. So there is no excuse for any of those insane behaviors. There's no excuse for it. I don't care what his story is, really. I don't care what I had a difficult childhood too. I had a nanny who treated me real bad when my parents were on vacation. They always parked me somewhere. So when they left me with my grandmother, things were all okay. You know, I would have loved to stay just with my grandmother alone. So when my grandfather was on vacation, and he had his mistresses, and my grandmother and I stayed with the Great Dane and their house, and they have a beautiful house and a huge garden like a park. And then things were all good. But as soon as my grandfather came back, there was horrible, dangerous energy in the house. And as soon as my parents were back, my mother was not good with me. She could not love me. She was cold to me. And then when they left me with the nannies, one left me with a 15-year-old girl for like 4 weeks or something. She totally abused me. She smoked in bed and burned holes into the pillow and took me with her to real crazy, dysfunctional parties when I was just 2 years old, and it was just total insanity, total chaos. I had it very rough too. When I was a child, I painted bathrooms with tiles, and it was always a dangerous situation. One painting I painted that when I was like 4. It's like kind of stick figure-ish, one could recognize me sort of as a character, yeah, in that picture, the thin, sad girl. And next to me, no, I must have been a little older than that, because my brother was already there. So my brother is 5 years younger than I am. So maybe I was 7 and my brother was 2 or something. My brother could just walk. And my brother was there with his Parker and Hood and standing next to us. And then the Great Dane was there, who looked a little bit like Mickey Mouse. And then there was a huge vulture standing above us with real light green eyes that were staring down at us from way above. And it was in a bathroom, peeping, hawking type of, vulturing type of eyes looking at us. I only have those type of paintings. I don't have memories. So, oh, my childhood was hell. Okay, and I believe I have been sexually abused even at a very, very early age, very, very early, before thoughts and before formulations. Okay. And I never became cruel. So childhood pain is not an excuse for cruel behavior. It just isn't. I know a woman. She was 4 years older than me. I just met a friend of us. So we were at the Primal Center together. Elsa and Jana and myself, and I talked to Elsa yesterday on Facebook, and she was very close to Jana. And Jana was gorgeous and looked a lot like Anna Nicole Smith. And Elsa told me yesterday that Jana committed suicide in 2006. I had not seen her in a long, long time. I was wondering how they were all doing. I was absolutely shocked about this, because I thought she had things going. I even saw her and Christoph, and it was around 2008. I saw a video of them that must have been made, obviously, before 2006. So where they were together in an energy healing workshop. so much in love with each other, and I thought things were going well for them. I was very shocked. But now she never hurt anyone, okay? Never. Even with monstrous jealousies and monstrous feelings of not having made it, or being on a substance or this or that, or not having money and not having made it in any relationship, or not, succeeded with career or any of these things, and feeling low and feeling inadequate and feeling all of these things. I know that she was struggling with wanting recognition from someone. So she got a lot of recognition for her looks, and she got a lot of men wanting her, but it's what she really wanted was, she wanted closeness, and she wanted that intimacy, and to be able to rely on someone. She found that in Christoph, but I don't think anyone can fix someone in that way. I mean, we can only help another person if we introspect and if we really work on ourselves. Jana never hurt anyone. She was always very gentle. She never put someone down, never bullied anyone. She had her, she had issues, and she may have had some resentment sometimes against people, and maybe against me too. But I understand now. I understand in retrospect. I understand so much more than I did at that time, when we were at the center between 1992 and 1999. So when I got together with Paul, I lost contact to those people. It's kind of sad, all of this. I drove Paul's friends away from him, and he drove my friends away from me. That's what we did. We drove each other into complete isolation. But his friends were trailer type of people, like wannabe musicians and people that were down and out. And I feel sorry for them, and I feel really bad. I feel bad that I wasn't able to deal with them better. My Medusa came up too often. I see now they didn't know better. There was one cruel guy that came over once. As soon as he saw me, he just needed to see me. That's all it took. And he left. It's like, okay, I'm going. It's all it took was my Medusa eyes. That's all it. He's like, oh, I don't want to be petrified into stone. I'm gonna go. Okay, no problem. There are some other people that he used to be friends with that better not ever cross my path. Some of them have beaten him up. They better never cross my path. But I don't want to go that route. I really don't. And the people I knew from the center, we were all down and out psychologically. We may have been living a little bit more plush, but we were psychologically broken, but we were not cruel. we wouldn't act out in that way. I mean, it just doesn't make any sense that someone would act out with cruelty to an innocent living beings. I understand vengeance, I follow that, I understand how that feels. I even understand jealousy and all that hate that is connected to that, and feelings of inadequacy, not having made it, being jealous of someone. I mean, I can at least intellectually follow, right? Although I would never do this myself. I would never let it out on someone I'm jealous of. I would never do revenge. The whole idea of revenge is repulsive to me because it's ridiculous. It doesn't bring us forward. It doesn't bring me forward or anyone. But at least intellectually, I can follow to that degree. Where I am totally left in the dust is when I see people doing cruel acts to innocent beings, like what the charter employees did to that giant Pacific salamander. That one guy, the real hostile guy. There was this real hostile guy. I don't know. We're assuming this. I just wish deeply that he didn't do anything to the animal. I wish deeply that she's still living out there and has her nest, and that she's laid eggs, and that they proliferated themselves. I saw another salamander on the other side of the garden, like a year or two later, and that was a different type of salamander. That salamander had belts, like this, belts on the back. Very interesting. That one is smaller than the other one, but that one was very docile too, very sweet. Came out from under that cedar tree, and I sat right next to that salamander and even petted him lightly, and I talked to him, and I said, "Thank you for showing yourself." So when I go out there at night, I bring a flashlight with me, and I'm always tippy-toeing out there on the cement walkways, on that driveway that goes up from the lower part to the upper part, and make sure I'm not stepping into the grass, because I don't know what kind of beings are living there or coming out. I don't want to step on an earthworm either. So I'm very careful with the earthworms. I always, when I see an earthworm slithering across the driveway, I often pick them up and I bring them to the other side of the driveway and into the moist, the grass and the leaves and all of this. Sometimes I pick them up and put them into the compost barrels that we have. So we compost everything that is biodegradable, including cardboard, all the kitchen materials, and all the waste products, all the dung from Papa and ourselves is all going into the compost bins out there. We have like 10 of those, and you put holes in the bottom, on the side, in the lid as well. I would suggest that. So, and then water can get in, insects can get in, earthworms can get in, and that's the earthworms do the main job of recycling all of it into wonderful, rich, black, good smelling, earthy smelling earth soil for all the plants to grow and be very strong and healthy, have the nutrients back in that system. That is the only way of bringing nutrients back to our lands. That's the only way to do it. I mean, it's kind of dilettantical, as I call it, the way we're doing it. We're using bucket toilets on pedestals, but and it's kind of rough. You have to go out there to the compost bin in wind and rain and coldness, no matter what. You get soaking wet outside, and it's rough. It's kind of rough at this point because it's dilettantical. It is in the beginning stages of developing this type of living structure. Okay, so that can be done in a much more luxurious way. That can be done indoors. Okay, we can have an indoor garden by having a dome structure that spans 3 acres, that goes above the trees. Okay, that creates a paradise. You can grow any tree you want from around the globe in that dome structure, in that glass dome structure. Plexiglass, triple insulated with vacuum insulation between the layers, and like real heavy duty, like bulletproof, super durable, like airplane, rocket durable kind of materials. So with industrial steel frames in between that are like a foot thick, like this. Super, super strong. And that's all it takes is heavy duty steel frames and triple vacuum insulated layers of very, very thick, like, I don't know, half a centimeter thick plexiglass sheets that cannot be destroyed. You can throw a rock against it, it doesn't break it. So that's what we need. And that will also be storm proof, and then you can do whatever you want on the inside dome. You can build yourself a little hut, or you can create just a room that doesn't even need a roof. You can do whatever you can put a tent up in there and sleep in it, and it'll be amazing. You don't need a fire, you don't need anything. It's just it's gonna be warm. But if you live in a cold climate, and if you want it to be extra warm also in the winter, then it would be very beneficial to get geothermal heat. So geothermal heat is a perpetuation source, okay, from planet Earth, from the Earth core, the heat ball that's in the center of the Earth. There's still a sun on the inside of the Earth, and that gives us a lot of heat, and we can tap into that heat. You have to do that, but do that with utmost mindfulness and care and gentleness. Not just mindlessly drilling. And then with geothermal water, we get a geothermal water vein. somewhere a mile deep or something, then we can create an artesian well that feeds itself, that keeps vacuuming itself up, and where you don't have to use electricity to draw the water up. So self-perpetuated well, that's what an artesian well is, and the water just keeps coming up, and you can put a cap on, you can put a valve on it to adjust the amount of water that will go through the valve and through a meandering piping system that can be above ground or buried into the ground for heat supply and irrigation for the lawn and the plants and the trees. So that is the future of living on this planet, and also on Mars, and probably also on the moon. So, but for now, they can't just put a dome structure like this above the ground on Mars, so, because the ground is highly radioactive. They would have to be completely insulated from everything. But eventually that will subside and that will heal up, and Mars will gradually be terraformed, starting with mosses that are able to live in quite oxygen depleted environments, such as very high summits, like 5,000, 10,000 feet, peaks where no other plant grows, but some mosses will grow. So that's how they have to start Mars, was the mosses. I saw a documentary film with animation, was very interesting. It's on YouTube. I highly recommend that. Feels good. Feels real good, that documentary film, because it feels like there's the door to the future, you know. So there's a window, there's an opening that where we can go through, where we can move through forward into the future. We don't hit a brick wall. So there are solutions out there also for this planet. There's no return now from global warming. People have done it, with greed and religious ideologies. They have created this situation. So now we have to try to live with that and make the best out of it. So the storms are getting worse every year. I see it. All the windows falling out of the greenhouse. So every year more windows come out. So a couple of years ago, one window fell out. Then the next year, that same window fell out like 5 times. Then the next year, 2 windows fell out, and now 3 windows fell out, and they keep on falling out. So this is just a gradual increase in storm power. So the storm power is increasing. Rainstorm, hail, stuff that normally doesn't happen in this area here. It's happening, and we have to prepare for it. You know, that's all there is. If you live in a regular house, it's not going to be standing in a couple of years. This is a fact. It's a reality. You know, we can deny it, or we can look at the facts and the truth of it, the reality of it, right, and make the best out of it. And composting is not just important, or it's not just a lifestyle choice. It's our only choice. It's our only chance that we have. You can't be depleting the soil non-stop endlessly and feeding it with empty nitrogen. You can't do this. You can't continue to do this. Rudolf Steiner already talked about this in 1915. He warned us about this, the consequences of greed-based agriculture. He was very much into agriculture. The biodynamic agriculture that was practiced by pagan Europeans for centuries. They had such tremendous knowledge. Yes, they were superstitious and all of this. They had gods. They were religious, as people tended to always be, because they didn't have any other explanations. So they wanted to please their gods, their fertility gods. They did that all the way around the globe. The Aztec did it, the Incas did it, and they did terrible things to please their gods. Absolutely horrific things, and I'm not going to get into it now. But that's what superstition and religiousness does. But besides that, they have gathered a lot of information on the moon cycles, the star constellations, and what that form of magnetism had as an influence on the crops, on the crop growth, and it's absolutely amazing. It's really, really interesting and amazing. We can modernize this now, and Rudolf Steiner always said, if we get more information, if we update our data, if we get better technology, let's use it, but use it for the planet and not against it. That is the key. So I know now, I got the basics now for moving forward on this planet. We have to have that dome structure. It has to be put on the bare land, without a foundation. And you have to leave every tree standing, because we need the trees for oxygen. We can't be logging anymore. It's absolutely out of the question. We cannot log any more tree. It will cut down your oxygen supply. We cannot be fishing anymore. We cannot be decimating the oceans anymore. We get a whole large percentage of oxygen from the ocean vegetation. Okay. Huge amounts. Cannot be destroying and poisoning the ocean or any watershed anymore. Cannot continue with this. This is your earth. You live here, we live here. Everyone, the CEO of Monsanto, you live here. Okay? Don't ruin it, everything. It's a lot of things that are already, there's no more return. But let's not poison this planet any further. That is my plea to the world. So may Jana be happy and safe in the infinite cosmos and resting for a long time, okay, until she feels recovered before she comes back into existence. I love you, Jana. Be safe. Be safe, all beings.